Hello, and thank you to everyone for tuning into episode 11 of the Behind the GAVL podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Raplee, co-founder, CEO of GAVL. And this podcast is a legal marketing podcast serving law firms across the country. We've been bringing on a lot of great guests every couple weeks. Really been having a really great time hosting this podcast while I record this podcast. Tomorrow, we actually turn 10 years old. So massive milestone for the company. I'm super excited for everything that we built, where we are. When this comes out, I'm sure you'll have seen some of the posts we put out and stuff, but I just want to thank everyone for listening, for being our clients, being customers, team members, family, friends, everybody. Just really big time thank you. Jumping into today, I'm joined by Brett Kohler, who is the head of sales at Intaker. And Intaker is an AI-powered platform helping law firms streamline how they capture and convert new leads. Brett brings a unique perspective to our conversation today. He spent years in sales and client relationships, and he also has a background as a stand-up comedian and actor. So, needless to say, he understands how to connect with people, read a room, and communicate effectively. In this episode, we'll dive into how AI is being used to improve client intake in the legal space, breaking down what Intaker is, the specific problems it's solving for law firms, and where firms are missing opportunities when it comes to lead conversion. We'll also explore how tools like Intaker are changing the way firms manage new client communication and what the future of AI looks like for the legal industry. Oscar, let's bring in Brett. Brett Kohler, thank you for being on the show today.
Ryan, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. For those who don't know anything about you, we won't get into Intaker yet, but for those who don't know about you, give us a little bit about your background, kind of what led you into sales, legal tech.
Kind of an interesting journey. So I'm out in Los Angeles, moved out here like everybody else to do the whole acting thing. Did that for a while, was going well. Went through a bit of a medical hiccup, for lack of a better term. Started doing stand-up, then the pandemic happened, and then I got into sales. So I kind of found Intaker, and the rest is history, as they say. So that's a real brief overview.
When was that? How long ago was this?
So I started Intaker in November 2020. So I think the company had been around. Yes, I think the company had been around for about 9 months when I joined. I think we were about 5 people.
Okay, so you've been there from really the ground
floor. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So that's very interesting. So tell me a little bit about did you grow up just wanting to be an actor? Where are you from?
I grew up in Minnesota, so like 20, 30 minutes outside of Minneapolis.
Okay. Go Vikings.
Go Vikings. Yeah, maybe one year. Maybe one day, right?
Yeah,
but
you can dream.
But no, so I grew up there. I'd always kind of been a performer, done stuff like that. I thought I wanted to be in sports broadcasting, and so I went to the University of Missouri, studied journalism. But I realized that one, I'd probably have to live in someplace like Shreveport for quite a while, like right out of school. No offense to Shreveport, just wasn't
great place. I hear it's wonderful.
Great place, love it. Phenomenal food.
Great coffee.
Great coffee. But it was that, and I think when I had always done kind of like the mock news stuff, it was more like leaned towards the comedy thing, and that's kind of where I realized like, hey, maybe it's more of the performance side rather than being the news anchor kind of thing. So yeah, graduated school and then shipped out to Los Angeles. So
that's cool. I'm just very curious. Like, did you get any roles? Like, were you just
man. So it was cool. So I did like right before everything kind of happened. I did like a movie for Lionsgate. I was in some like zombie movie for Lionsgate.
Nice.
Went to the Emmys. Like that was cool. I got invited.
That is really cool. Yeah.
Everybody's a little bit shorter than you would expect, celebrity-wise.
I'm 6'6", so everyone's short to me.
Everyone's short. So and then I did like a independent kind of like action comedy thing, and then it was cool. So yeah, I got a few roles for sure.
That's awesome. That is very cool. And then stand up. I mean, do you think you'll ever go back to stand up someday, or do you still do open mics or anything?
Yeah, I still do some stuff here and there.
Sweet.
As far as like personal stuff, ironically, when I went through the whole, medical thing, like I taught myself how to play guitar and sing and things. So I'm actually like in a band right now, and that's
No way.
besides the sales, that's kind of been taking up a good chunk of the after hours. So
That's awesome, man. I'll have to. What kind of music?
rock and roll,
Rock
like
and
kind
roll.
of
Nice.
towards the classic rock and roll vibes. We're the Detours. It's a pretty good little
Nice.
group. So
Well,
yeah,
I think that we're gonna have to drop a little link in the show notes
for sure.
to your
Appreciate it,
band.
man.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you guys on Spotify? So I can
Yeah.
let them
Oh
know.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
there we go.
Yeah.
Let's crank it up. That could be
It's
our intro music, Oscar. So you go from
yeah.
acting to
Yeah.
comedy to sales, and
So,
honestly, there's a lot of crossover there. I mean, it's all being personable, but now 6 years into selling a
yeah.
product,
Mhm.
do you feel like this has become your calling now? Do you really like? What do you think about the legal industry?
It is so fascinating of an industry. Like it was something I guess, you see the lawyers on TV, you see the billboards and the commercials and stuff like that. But then really learning like the idiosyncrasies of like the industry has been super fascinating. All that goes into it, all the steps that are involved rather than just, making the commercials and things like that, the
Right.
intake, um, the following through, the demand letters, the all that stuff. It's been an incredibly fascinating journey. And yeah, I've definitely thoroughly enjoyed working in the space and getting to meet a lot of the people within the
That's
space.
awesome. Yeah, I love it too. I've been in the legal uh, sector for I don't even know 12 years, 13 years now.
Yeah,
Gavel, we're just about to turn 10 tomorrow,
that's what I
actually.
saw. Congratulations,
Yeah,
man.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Massive milestone. So let's dive into
Yeah,
Intaker itself. So what is Intaker? What's the elevator pitch for Intaker?
for
And
sure.
how is it solving problems for law firms?
For sure. So as far as like the elevator pitch goes, I always say, if you're anywhere you're generating traffic, Intaker is there to capture it, qualify it, turn it into like a legitimate lead for you, and then hopefully convert it into a client. So that's the quick kind of elevator pitch. Where it's helping, I think, is intake is such a valuable part of like the law firm's process. It's where it all begins. Not to sound corny or anything, but it's where
It
it all
is.
starts,
Yep.
right? And that first 10 minutes of the client interaction, whether it's on your website, your Facebook page, your LSAs, whatever it may be, might be the most important 10 minutes of the life cycle, maybe even including trial. That may be a little bold, but you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it's really important to make that quality first impression. I think that's what, Intaker is there for and has done for, a lot of our clients, right? Sets a really great tone, makes things very easy for people and, wanting to work with that firm. So, that's kind of the quick pitch and how we've been helping.
Yeah. So I the one thing that really drew me originally to, I mean, there have been so many live chat
Yeah.
companies, just so people listening don't know. So Intaker will have a on your website, which most of our clients who use it, it's a replacement for your chat bot, but it's still an intelligent, very intelligent chat bot. There's not a live person on the other end, but I know you guys have advanced a lot with AI
Yeah.
and using different ways to help the intake process. But just think of, for those of you using a traditional chat bot where there's a live person, a live agent on the other end, this kind of removes that, helps reduce costs, but I think creates a better experience.
For
And
sure.
one thing that I really liked about Integer when I first saw it was the video that you
Mhm.
can use to help with conversions. So instead of just, a picture of some buddy, in the bottom right corner, you actually have a video of an attorney that someone could click on and say, "Hey, welcome to the firm. We're here to help you." Like whatever their message
Yeah.
is, they can get that across. I think that helps a lot with the conversions. Like
Oh, yeah.
that's in, but the one thing that really impressed me even more was how fast loading the process was. And when I originally met your team, it was in San Diego at a conference several years ago. I was really impressed. I told them, I said, look, one of the reasons why we wouldn't want to do this on our sites is because page speed is such an important,
Yeah.
not necessarily just a ranking factor, but it's so important to the entire experience that a potential client has on the site. And I said, look, even if this adds an extra second or two to load time, I don't want it. But then when I did all the testing, it was like, bam, it was lightning. I'm like, how do you get the video so fast? And when I was talking to the founder, co-founder, he said, you know, that was one of the first things that they really wanted to make sure they hit home was speed is everything, which makes a whole lot of sense being an intake company, because you don't want to decrease conversions on the site, because then that hurts the whole life cycle.
Right. For sure. And I think, you know, speaking to the speed, I mean, that's kind of our thing, just, you know, for not trying to sound corny, you know, the speed to lead kind of process, right? So whether that's, you know, the loading of the video, which you can even, you know, take it to the next level and customize it per page. So if you're PI, you know, you want a car accident, truck accident, you can have different videos for all those layers.
That I did not know. That is very cool. Okay. Nice.
So yeah, you know, you type in, you know, truck accident attorney San Diego, for example, they land on your truck page, you know, boom, you're specifically kind of speaking to those issues, you know, getting people engaged. And I think to your point, Ryan, it puts people at ease, right? You know, people want that personal touch nowadays. It kind of fits that modern, you know, attitude of what people are looking for.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about something that they're actively going through, we have found that certainly increases conversion and, you know, pushes people to fill out the form. And then, yeah, obviously with the, you know, the page speed, that's huge. You know, kind of the modern mindset again. People don't want to sit around and wait. You know, you know, I remember when dial-in was around, and I was happy when a page, you know, dial-up. You know,
oh yeah,
happy to load in a minute. But now I think if it's anything over, like you said, a second or two, I'm on to the next thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's what we try to do. Yeah, that's what we try to do.
So in your opinion, what are what are law firms getting wrong when it comes to intake and lead conversion right now?
For sure. I think it's just that there has to be, you know, to the point with that live person, right? And I think they're hung up more on sort of the live operator rather than like a live person. I would agree with that. I think the most important thing is getting connected with your firm. And if you want a live person, that person should be from your firm. And again, that's kind of what intakers, you know, kind of goal is as well. So feeling that like, hey, you know, the chat system's the way it's been for the past, you know, 10, 15 years. That's the way it works. That's the way it has to. And the legal industry itself, I think over the past 12 months, and I'm sure you can speak to this too, has definitely been more open to adopting technology and stuff, especially with, you know, AI and everything kind of coming up. But at least when I started, you know, 5 years ago at the company, it was very kind of slow moving in that sense, where it's like, well, this is the way we did it. This is the way it's always been done. It works this way. And so I think just kind of accepting the evolution of technology and how it can help and not being afraid to do it. I'd say that's kind of maybe the biggest deficit I see at the moment.
I've noticed that a lot too. I mean, especially early, 10 years ago, it was so slow moving, trying to just get someone to adopt even live chat on a site or call tracking or all these different technologies. Like, whoa. We have never done this before. I don't think we're going to do it. But then luckily some of these younger attorneys have come along and they're like, oh no, we have to, like, trust me, we have to do this, you know? And now then when the pandemic hit, everyone's using Zoom, everyone's going remote, they're getting introduced to new technologies and realizing, hey, this isn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. And now with AI, they're even more open to trying all these new technologies, which I still tell people, like, especially right now, it's like, you need to slow down a little bit on all these technologies you're trying, because, you know, there was just that one article that came out. I can't remember where the article was. We can link it in the show notes, but this one company was using Claude code for basically their entire application, and Claude went rogue and deleted the entire app, their database for their company and all their clients. And so luckily they had an offsite backup, but still that means downtime for a couple of days, big issue. And Claude even said, hey, it was like, I don't know the exact quote, but it was like, hey, sorry, I absolutely should not have done that type thing. And it still did it.
My bad.
So we got to be careful with these technologies, right?
Sure.
With that said, and talking about AI, how are you seeing AI change the way law firms handle leads? What are you guys doing to use AI at Intaker?
For sure. I think how people are handling, leads with AI, it's streamlining the process, right? So there used to be that thing where it would come in, you'd have to look through the transcript, you'd have to read it, decide, hey, is this something that, is operable? Is this something worth investing potentially, an hour of my time at least on a phone call, right? And that was still a very, very much a manual process. And I think what Intaker is doing on like one level is kind of eliminating that process. And I think that's where AI is becoming very handy for firms, right? It's a lot of those, mundane tasks, those time sucking tasks that we're eliminating. I don't know if, kind of like you were alluding to, I put my whole firm's, operating system on like an AI or anything like that. But to eliminate that mundane, to free up that time, right? That's our most valuable asset. And that's what Intaker's trying to do. So whether it's, the qualifications when a lead comes in, it scans the transcript for you. It tells you like, hey, right away, this is qualified. This is not qualified. And then based upon that, you can have different actions happen, whether that's, hey, I'm going to send a retainer. Hey, I'm going to do a live transfer. Hey, I'm going to do, a sequence of text messages or something like that. So taking those next steps and again, connecting quicker with the client. And then also just being, in multiple different areas too. So if you want somebody to handle your LSA responses, if you want somebody like the Facebook messages and those come in at 3 a.m. and, some of those, most of the time, from what I've heard, they're probably not great leads, but that one time it is,
Right.
you want to be there. And Intaker's always there. And so that's kind of how we're using the AI, on our end. And I think that's how it can help lawyers,
I
moving
like that a
forward.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're spot on. Are you as Intaker looking to do anything, I guess, new outside of the chat? Like, is there any other features you guys are working on? Like, what's kind of your roadmap looking
Sure.
like?
Yeah, as far as like the roadmap of Intaker goes, I mean, again, just trying to always be everywhere, right? So we just added like, agents for, like I said, the LSAs for Facebook, for Instagram. So it's not just strictly your website anymore. It's a whole kind of intake process. I mean, our goal ultimately as a company is to handle intake from A to Z and then also help, track the client life cycle as well, from A to Z. And so that's kind of our, long-term goal of what we're looking to do without, getting into too much. But ultimately, to take the intake process as much out of the firm's hands as they'd like, or give it to them as much as they
Yeah.
like. So, hey, if you want us, to take them all the way, like I said, to a signed retainer, we got you. If you just want to get them on the phone in 30 seconds, we got you. But yeah, ultimately the goal is to help, take the intake from A to Z and then help you track that client life cycle and make your life very easy.
So powerful to be able to just go through the chats and what would be really cool is if we could integrate like form fills with
Mhm.
this. Is have you guys thought about that?
Yeah, for sure. So we've taken some steps in that regard as far as like getting it, the form fills, your contact forms and things like that. We now have the ability to kind of send that into Intaker. And then, yeah, we're working on exactly like you just said, Ryan,
Because
to
that would
take
be super cool to be able to, instead of going through my emails
that.
every
Right.
day, it'd be cool if I could just do a webhook from my contact form into Intaker.
Yep.
Intaker does the AI analysis and says, "Hey, look, this was the one or two qualified leads that came in overnight, or
Yep.
you had all these, these ones don't worry about."
Yep. And that's exactly what we're working on, Ryan.
That
I
is
mean,
so cool.
so we're getting all that information to you again, just everywhere. I've said it a few
Yep.
times, everywhere you want to be. But we can get it in there now. We, got the webhooks and things like that into the actual system itself, but just working on the qualifying and, almost sending like kind of the overnight summaries and things like that, like you mentioned,
Sweet.
are certainly things that are on the roadmap again, just to
Well,
streamline it, right?
we need to talk with the clients, our clients that are currently on Intaker. We need to get them utilizing that.
Yeah, for sure. And you got
That's super
yeah,
smart.
great support team, great implementation team. So you can let us know. We got you covered.
I love that. What's one thing that makes you so proud to work in Intaker?
What
Because
makes you proud of it?
so anyone being at a SaaS company for
Yeah,
6 years, that's a long
yeah,
time. I think
long time.
the average turnover is like 2 years at a SaaS company. So
Yeah,
you're there for 6. So there's got to be some kind of secret sauce that's holding you there. There's got to be something that you get up out of bed every morning like, I'm working at Intaker, and what's the
yeah,
reason?
yeah, for sure. It's multifaceted and it's certainly evolved over time. So obviously, when I first started, there was a thrill of kind of working in the space and learning the space and things like that that kind of kept me coming back. Um, once I started handling a majority of the demos and stuff like that, then there was the competition aspect. I grew up, playing sports and stuff. So obviously sales itself is competitive. It can be very fun. It can be very not fun sometimes, but it's part of the cycle. But as we've evolved, like I said, I think when I started, and I'm sure, my CEO might correct me on this, but I think we're about 5 people when I started. And now I think we're close to 60, 70, including like the tech team and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's
So,
awesome.
for me now as like the head of sales and, hiring people, there's, a lot of our SDRs and stuff are people fresh out of college. This is their first job. Seeing all that hard work that we put in, and I'm sure, like you said, when you started GAVL, right, those first 2 or 3 years, it's a
It's a
grind.
grind.
Or maybe
It is
even
a
3
grind.
to 4 years, right?
Yep.
And to see kind of where it's evolved to, and like giving these people their first opportunity at a job, and like watching them grow, and the coaching that you're giving them, and it's becoming like a very rewarding thing for me at this point. And that's kind of why I like you said, getting out of bed every day and going to Intaker, right? It's watching them grow, watching them evolve, watching the company evolve. And then, there's always those little moments of self-reflection, right? We're like, holy cow, like I remember when we had like less than 100 clients and
Yeah.
nobody knew who we were, and the product only did this. And now like look at everything that that hard work has led to. So it's, like I said, right now it's very rewarding, and that's what keeps me coming, for sure.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Let's jump. So intakers, we're done talking about intaker.
Sounds good.
Let's jump in. I got a little rapid fire
Sure.
questions for you. Who's your favorite stand-up comedian right now?
Right now, Nate Bargatze.
I love that guy too.
He's
I
the
love that
best.
guy too. His new game show, The Averagest American or whatever.
I haven't
It's
seen it. Is it great?
it's so funny. I watched the first
All right.
couple episodes. It's hilarious. And
I'll
he's just Nate Bargatze up there, and he looks
just-
so nervous. And
Yeah.
like it's just who he
Yeah.
is. It's so funny.
That's great.
What about all time? Like, who's your inspiration?
Steve Martin.
I
So
love Steve Martin too.
I have
Yeah.
I'm blanking, of course, on the name, but I have like one of his specials on vinyl. It's so clever. And it's just like some of it seems so obvious, but it also at the same time, like, I don't know if I could ever think of that. So
I'd
and
love
maybe
to
that's
see his show. I'd love to see his new show with Martin Short. They travel
Oh, yeah.
around. They do a stage
Yeah.
show. I really want to see
That's
that.
great.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's an all-timer too. I love Seinfeld. I'm a huge Seinfeld fan.
Oh yeah.
So if Bargatze's your favorite, do you swear in your act at all?
Only when appropriate. I think it's,
Okay.
anytime you swear when you're performing or things like that, that's what the attention focuses on. So if you're,
Yep.
it's like when you see like a show on NBC, right? And like they land the perfect like bleep, or somebody, is swearing, but they bleep it out. That's kind of like my strategy, I guess, is,
I like that.
make it have an impact, right? Rather than just, because if, when you, like in Seinfeld, if, Kramer were to swear and they bleep it out, if they nail it perfectly, it's the funniest part of the episode, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I try to go about it. Yeah.
I like that because Seinfeld has built an incredible career. He never swears in his stand-up. Bargatze never swears. There's only a couple that have really ever gotten super successful being clean-mouthed, if you will. I'm a huge Daniel Tosh fan too. Like he's one of my all-time, but he would never go a show without swearing.
Without swearing, for sure.
Which is funny because his dad was a pastor, I think, growing up and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. He's got a great podcast too. I listen.
His podcast is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. So that was not a rapid fire section. We kind of skipped the rapid fire part. But what's harder, closing a deal or getting a laugh on stage?
For the sake of this podcast, I'll say closing a deal. Yeah.
What's something sales professionals could learn from comedians?
To listen and react. I think the biggest thing with sales is everybody thinks you have to be, you have to have the gift of gab and just be able to talk and talk and talk. But I think the best salespeople are the ones who can listen. And that's, whether it's exactly what they're saying, the way they're saying it, the way their body reacts. Like if you're in a demo, like a Zoom call, there's so many elements to the human experience that, you're trying to like capture in that moment. So I I think listening better would be my advice.
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. If you had to pitch Intaker, now this one might be tough.
Okay.
If you had to pitch Intaker as a comedy bit, what's the one-liner?
Oh man. Gosh, I'm just trying to think of some of the lawyers' videos I've seen and basing on that. How do I look on camera? Or how do I look? I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
That's a good one. Hey,
Yeah.
that's a good one because we do a lot of video shoots and stuff, and everyone says, "How do I look? How do I look?
How do I look? Yeah, that's
when I do the podcast, like it was funny. The last one, Oscar told me, he's like, "I think you wore that shirt last time." I'm like, "Don't care."
Hey, it's working, man. You got to run with it. Yeah, for sure.
Run with it. Oh man. Well, hey, it was really great having you on the show today, Brett. I really appreciate your time. It was great to get to know you a little bit. I'm looking forward to checking out your band.
I appreciate
it. Looking forward to referring some more customers over to Intaker. If any of our clients are listening right now, definitely reach out to Intaker directly. Reach out to me. I will set up an introduction. You guys got a great team. Everyone is super responsive. It makes the whole process really easy for me, and I like to be fast at things and some of your guys in your team, I'll email and they're back with me in like 5 minutes. I mean, it's really awesome. So great job training your team and lots of success, buddy.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure being on the show, Ryan. Thank you.
I'd really like to thank Brett for being on the show today. It was really great getting to know him a little bit, learn about his background, not only in sales and Intaker, but also being an actor, comedian, and being in a band. Pretty impressive, if you ask me. I think all those things translate well into being a great and effective sales leader. And Intaker is really doing some very cool things. And as you heard in the discussion, I've recommended Intaker to our clients for many years now. What I think is the coolest part is being able to use a video as the little pop-up for the chat bot. But now they've gone an evolved direction where they're really trying to be able to capture lead information from all these different sources, being able to review it and see, hey, is this an actual lead? Is this a good case or is it not? Where do you need to invest your time and resources and where you don't have to? So I think it's a great product. I think anyone who's a law firm that has a live chat feature on their site, look at it, see how effective it's been for you. And I think maybe give Intaker a shot. And if you don't have anything on your site now, you really should. So I think now would be a good opportunity to give Intaker a shot as well. Thanks again. That was 11 episodes now. It's really been a lot of fun. We're going to keep it going. I got a great team. I'd like to give a shout out to Oscar, our producer, Mariah, who helps me prepare a lot of questions and prepare who I'm about to talk to during the interview. So I appreciate you guys a lot for helping over these last 11 episodes. We definitely would not have gotten this far without you guys. Please like, subscribe, leave some comments, and we really would like to hear some feedback. Who would you like to have on the show? Any ideas, we're totally open to it. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.